Trails Collective, what's shaking? It's Ian here for the weekly rundown, October 14th, 2020. So I'm going to move over a little bit because I'm going to display some clips over here as we go. And sometimes I catch that after the fact and have to edit it out. So I'm going to slide over. So what's been shaking this past week? Let's see, I guess something just arrived today, which I'm going to be pretty excited about. You may not care whatsoever. But what arrived is an external caliper here. Pretty awesome little device. So as I'm doing more with gear reviews, looking into some of the specs, including stack heights, become more applicable. And across brands, there seems to be some inconsistency with the way some of the brands are measuring and presenting some of those stack heights. So you may not care about something like that, but it somewhat makes a difference as just one part of the equation. So I got this today. I also have another one, a digital one, on the way to see if I can get more accurate measures there to be sure I'm conveying more accurate information. So I'm pretty excited about this jobber here. Let's see what else came. Today arrived a pair of Brooks Divides. A little bit curious about what a somewhat of a price point crossover model from Brooks is going to feel like on my foot. Haven't put it on yet, but I'll try it. Just arrived. Something else just arrived today is the Bonatti Pro, a waterproof jacket here. Pretty slick shell. This makes probably 7, maybe of the nicest run shells that are out there that I have, and I've had over the past, probably since like late spring. And I've really been waiting to do a really good gear review on some of the best run shells out there. Unfortunately, we just keep getting no rain. Pretty much drought conditions, and I need you all basically to help me maybe start doing some rain dances out there so I get some useful rain. Occasionally it falls overnight and I miss it, but nothing useful enough to really do the gear testing. I got this past week a really nice, also waterproof jacket from Jonji, which I'm really excited to try. It looks like it's going to, at least based on the venting, be one of the more breathable models that's out there. And the waterproofing measures or metrics look pretty good. So we'll see how those go as soon as you all can maybe help me out with some rain. All right, let's see. In the media this past week, Ellie in the Trails Collective or TC interview series, which you'll find on our YouTube channel, as well as on the website under the Collective Wisdom, interviewed or had a good session with Britta Clark, who's had a fairly productive 2020, at least on the FKT front alone. More in life beyond that, but that alone. In the mix, she set the unsupported women's mark on the Pemi in August and the Prezi Traverse in, I think, September. So 2 iconic routes. Check out that at the, well, we'll plug the link, but on the TC interview series. In the Pain Cave this past, I think it was Friday, Jay Friedman got on with 20 questions with physician, epidemiologist, coach, author, and 5-time U.S. trail running champ Megan Roche. Boy, that's a ton of credentials that comes with Megan. Pretty incredible individual. I don't think that I'm worthy of even listening to the episode based on really what she brings to the table, but I'm stoked to anyway, so check it out. And then I think filming maybe tonight, which we'll post this week, he'll do a round with rock journalist and trail runner Tony Fletcher. So stay tuned for that. Oh, also in the media, I guess something else that just caught my attention here tonight. I didn't post it because it's not coming out of east or particularly northeast trails. It was a video posted on the East Coast Trail and Ultra Facebook page from a runner from Provo, Utah that happened to be out on a mountain seasonal or gravel road. Ran into a couple, looked like maybe mountain lion cubs, and the mom wasn't too far off. So it was like a 6-minute clip of basically him being followed and I don't know, intimidated by the mama mountain lion. It was a really crazy clip to watch. It's on there, East Coast Trail and Ultra Facebook. Go find it if you want, or you can probably Google it. The clip's probably out there at some point, but pretty wild video to watch. You can see how it went down. All right, on the FKTs in New York, Kelly McDonald continues to get out there with 1 to 2 per week, seemingly. Probably she and Justin Kowski, probably 2 of the most prolific for sure, at least that I'm seeing in the Northeast this year. So Got back out there this weekend, 5 hours, 40 minutes for the Gray, Skylight, and Marcy. Lollipop Loop, she shaved off 45 minutes off of Anna Lehman's time from July. Laura Tuttle and Bethany Gerritsen got out 1 hour, 46 minutes for the baseline self-supported female mark for the Lake Placid Niner Challenge. I don't know if I got that time right. That sounds a little short, but anyway, that's what I wrote down. But in any case, regardless of the time, they got that one. In PA, Amy Nelson, 10 hours, 34 minutes for the Rachel Carson Trail. In Virginia, Brian Banco, 29 hours, 14 minutes for the AT through Shenandoah National Park. One, as I mentioned prior, has been getting a lot of activity this year, shaving 23 minutes off of Will Weisbrum's unsupported time for the 110-mile beast of a trail. And that was set just only a month ago. So good job, Brian. On a multi-state one, covering or passing through Connecticut and Massachusetts, Raphael Sarfati, 4 days, 8 hours, 35 minutes for the New England Trail in unsupported fashion. At a bit over 200 miles, that's a burly effort no matter how you cut it, but doing it in unsupported fashion and to take the overall top time on that circuit or that traverse, that's pretty impressive. So great job. And one that we mentioned last week, a friend set off to do the Bob Marshall Traverse in the Adirondacks. This was Jay Whitbourne, covered in 18 hours, 50 minutes. It looks like a really spectacular route and effort. And I checked in with Jay to see whether he'd take us a bit into that route and that effort. And hopefully we'll be able to plug it here. So take it, Jay.
Hey Trails Collective, my name's Jay Whitbourne and I recently established the men's unsupported FKT of the Bob Marshall Traverse in the Adirondack High Peaks. The entire traverse encompasses 14 peaks, 13 of which are on the Adirondack 46er High Peaks list required to become an Adirondack 46er, meaning they're all above 4,000 feet. From start to finish, the traverse covers 32 miles and 15,400 feet of gain. It starts at the John Brooks Lodge, where Bob Marshall himself started back in 1932 when he wanted to set out and attempt to beat another climber who had previously summited 11 high peaks in a day. So he put this route together, started from John's Brook Lodge, went up Big Slide, came back to the lodge, actually had breakfast, and continued on with his day until he reached Mount Marcy, where he had lunch on top of Mount Marcy, and then continued on, completing his day at the Adirondack Lodge on Mount Joe. Myself, being a 46er, I've been very interested in the history of the high peaks and those who have started out climbing in the high peaks. Bob Marshall, being one of the original 46ers, jumps out to anyone who looks back in the history, along with all of the work that he did in trying to protect the mountains, protect the woods, not just in the Adirondacks, but across the country. So last year, I attempted the Bob Marshall and just didn't have a good day. So this year, I saw the weather was closing in, winter was starting to arrive, we're starting to get ice on the trails, but I wanted to get out and I wanted to give it a go. So I woke up early, I started from John Brooks Lodge, I caught the sunrise on Big Slide, and the trails were pretty wet. It had rained most of the day before and a couple days earlier in the week, so I wasn't expecting anything other than to just go out and have a really good day. Overall, it was a sunny day, the temperatures were really nice. The trails actually weren't too crowded, so I just kept plugging along at it, one peak at a time. The next thing you know, I was on Mount Marcy looking back down the entire Great Range that I had just climbed, and I set off to Skylight. From Skylight, I went over and I climbed the entire Mac Range, Iroquois, Algonquin, Wright, and in the dark came down and set off to Mount Joe. When I went up Mount Joe, I had it all to myself. The clouds had cleared, the wind had calmed down, I got to see a full moon. I looked down at Heart Lake and thought about how many of the original 46ers had seen the same view that I had in the past, and how much this little mountain at the end of this big day meant to them as much as it meant to me. So I hope that this inspires more people to go out and attempt the traverse, and also look into the history of Bob Marshall and who he was and what he did for the conservation in the Adirondacks and other parks in the country.
And results for in-person races. Saturday, October 10th, the Tesla Hertz run put on by the crew at Happily Running.
Hey, what's up, folks? Vinny here from Happily Running. Wanted to give you a brief update on some of the stuff that we did over the weekend. So my wife Nicole and I put on an event on Rocky Point on Long Island. It's a weekend of races, as we call it. You can do anything from a 10-mile course to a 50K, 50-mile, 100K, 100-mile race. It's a 10-mile loop, all trail. There are 2 road crossings outside of that. You are literally on trail the entire time. It's a pretty flat trail, though it's oddly deceiving. You're moving in and out the entire time. You're very little amount of time are you able to just kind of tune in and run. So it's kind of nice. You're challenged, and in a different way than most folks are used to. Either most folks are used to doing something like, a lot of vert or something pretty difficult like that. This is still a challenging course, but flat. So it's nice to have that little option. Definitely sneaks up on you if you're not paying attention. Some of the other notable things about it that's pretty cool, the RCA field, it's on New York State DEC property. So it used to be a RCA field where they relayed some of the communications from the naval ships off of the coast into Manhattan. So there's some remnants of things like that in there where you can still see the concrete bases for the giant radio towers. And we're about a mile and a half away from the Wardenclyffe Museum from Nikola Tesla. So that's where we get the name Tesla Hertz, a little play on words. So with that, one of the really great things about the event too is that it's a 10-mile loop. So while 10-mile loops aren't everybody's thing, this one gives some of those folks who are trying a new distance, who are, trying to give something out a little bit different. They are able to have what they need. There's 2 really easy aid stations for your crew to grab into, and you can pretty much just leave whatever you need. We offer just about anything you need at our aid stations. There is a 24-hour grocery store about half mile from the start line. So we have often done things like, ask somebody if they wanted something, and if they were able to come up with it while they were running, we would go over, get it, we'd come back, and by the next time they were there at that aid station again, we would have it out for them. It's kind of, some things have become custom now. Somebody asked for a turkey ham and cheese sandwich at one point, so now at around lunch dinner time we get a 3-foot hero. We also do pizza with a bunch of different toppings on it for the same reason. So it's a pretty nice race, very family oriented. There's a lot of different family members that show up, and it's great for your family to come and watch you run, which is pretty sweet. So that's a little bit about the event itself. Get into this previous year, which was kind of exciting due to COVID and all the other restrictions that were going around. We did have to put a couple of alterations on to the event, where typically, like I said, where we let you kind of just come and hang out for a while. We encourage it. We want you to sit there and chill. We did only allow a limited amount of crew members per runner, and the pacers, we had a pretty hard time that they weren't allowed to, that they were allowed to then start running with their racer. But outside of that, everybody was great. Everybody was fantastic with wearing masks when they were supposed to, and running around and really being understanding of all those things, which is fantastic. And I think we're really grateful and thankful for that. So it's just nice to know that we could put on some of these events and still have a really great time. Really big shout out and thanks to the Long Island Greenbelt Trail Association. They are They are beyond fantastic. They help us out all the time. They help us, do everything that we need to do for that event. They leave it in such a good condition for us. Every year they go out and make sure that that trail is in prime condition for our event. So going into some of the results that are on Ultra Sign Up at the moment are a little skewed. We had some issues with the timing software while we were out there. So they'll be updated this evening, hopefully by the time you're watching this, if not by tomorrow. But wanted to call out a couple of really cool things. So we had some really great performances while we were out there. We had the winner of the 100K was Kevin Scott. Stacy Williams crushed it in the female category. And then onto the 50 mile, we had Pat Smith, a 19-year-old, crush the course record. Previously, it was held by Matt Hershaft, which was 8:26 or 8:36, something along those lines. Pat is now holding it at 7:01. All smiles the entire day, and it was pretty awesome to watch him come across that line and have that. Also, David Mao finished his first 100 with it being also a win at 22:54 or 22. It might be a little bit less than that, 22:34. And then another couple of things that were out there. We had Trishul Churns finish his 276th ultra marathon in his lifetime, which is pretty sweet. And then we had Jim Lampman finish his 76th 100. Which is pretty fantastic as well. Really big shout out to another dude that really just want his what happened to him be known, because to me it defines the grit of an ultra runner, and just everything that he did was absolutely fantastic. So long story short, early on in his event, we had counted him for a lap when we shouldn't have. So somewhere in the middle of the day, he was on lap 3 when he really should have been on lap 2. He wasn't paying attention to it at that point. He didn't, he was well aware of what time he had been running and what his lap count was at that point. At whatever o'clock in the morning it was that he was running, and the folks who had been running the aid station earlier in the day had long since left, and new volunteers had rolled in. He had asked what lap he was on, or had been told what lap he was on, said he had 2 laps to go. In his brain, he didn't quite understand it, but thought, obviously, and as he should, that he should trust us, and we were right. And then he finished his 2 laps, and he was done. We gave him his buckle, we gave him his mug, we gave him his blanket that he get all of his finishers awards. He was super grateful. And then he took everything that he was wearing, all his running clothes, his shoes, his pack off, sat down for about half an hour, 45 minutes, and then made his way to an Uber. While in the Uber, he was looking at his results and realized that it was incorrect. The times didn't make sense. And he came back in. We had a chat about it. I told him that, we could sort it out. There was different ways that we could figure out. We went with, different options, and he chose the option to then just put his pack back on, keep the clothes that he was wearing on, have a couple bites to eat, grab himself some water, and head back out and finish his 9th lap or his 10th lap to complete it. So it just, to me, blew my mind that after feeling like you had finished the race, feeling like you were done, and having all that, and not only to have the I can't even think of the word, but just the integrity to come back and say, nope, this isn't accurate. I did not finish 100 miles. I only finished 90. And then for him to go out and do another loop, which is, to me, was just beautiful. So big congrats to Michael Cordero. That was a big move, and proud of you. That's pretty awesome. That's all we got. Hope to see you all next year at that event, because it's something that's pretty fantastic. So thank you. See you later.
In the Midstate Massive Ultra in New Ipswich, New Hampshire, 30, 50, and 100 miler ran October 10th and 11th. There were some photos up from Mass Ultra's Chris Riston, and I went ahead and checked in with Chris as well, knowing that he was out there. and we're going to get a clip in. He can weigh in a bit about the event, and we'll weave in some clips if we have it. So taking us into a bit of the Mass Ultra scene and the event, Chris, take it.
Hey Trails Collective, I'm Chris Riston, the editor of Mass Ultra, a news site that reports on the Massachusetts ultra running scene, while including the broader Northeast when possible. It's been a weird year for our sport thanks to the pandemic. In fact, it's led to the cancellation of 22 ultra events in Massachusetts alone. One of the races that did manage to happen took place last weekend, the Midstate Massive Ultra Trail. It was the first race I've covered in person since the Tarctic Frozen Yeti 30-hour Ultra, all the way back in early February. And I've got to be honest, covering a race in person during a pandemic is a little weird. Having to wear a mask and keep extra distance from people, and avoiding gathering at the finish line and bugging tired runners with my questions. But it was refreshing to be back among our community after so many months apart. I spent the full day Saturday covering the 100-mile race, from the starting line at New Ipswich, New Hampshire, down to Wachusett Mountain in Massachusetts, before heading home to edit photos. The 100-miler wrapped up Sunday at Douglas State Forest on the Massachusetts-Rhode Island border, as did the 50-mile and 30-mile races. And all three distances saw some impressive performances. In the men's 100-mile race, Connecticut's Justin Kowski took home the win. The 100-miler veteran, and setter of a whopping 25 FKTs this year, won in 1939-06. Kowski needed a big effort to win because he had to hold off Cody Cutler of Massachusetts, who set the unsupported FKT on the Midstate Trail back in May. Cutler ran 21:40:34 for his FKT, but the Midstate Massive course is a little bit longer, and Cutler ran faster, finishing in 20:23:24 in his 100-mile debut. Two more Massachusetts men followed, with Keith Nadeau taking third in 21:09:12 and Brian Butterfield finishing fourth in 22:02:49. Johanna Lannon made sure both 100-mile victories went home to Connecticut. The 100-mile veteran and winner of the 2019 No Business 100 in Tennessee added another first-place finish to her resume with a winning mark of 24:20 at the Midstate Massive. Molly Houseman of Vermont was second in 25:19:04. Meanwhile, two New Yorkers finished 97 seconds apart in the race for the final spot on the podium, with Rika Nakamura taking third in 25:55:38, followed closely by Trisha Ignatowski in fourth in 25:57:15. In the 50-mile race, Ben Quattromoni of Rhode Island outdistanced the field by nearly an hour, winning in 7:47:22. Robin Bradica of Massachusetts won the women's race in 10:46:58. Both of the 30-mile victories were won by Massachusetts residents. Nikki Sawada took home the overall win and was also the first-place woman, with a time of 4:37:13. Men's winner and second overall finisher Henning Smith followed 11 seconds later in 4:37:24. In total, 47 runners finished the 100-miler, 43 completed the 50, and 33 completed the 30-miler, making it a successful weekend for the second annual Midstate Massive. Be sure to check out massultra.com during the next week or so for follow-up coverage of the race. That's it for now from Massachusetts. Back to you, Ian.
Sunday, October 11th, Steep Endurance was back at it with the Mohawk Mountain Race. They had a 10K and 8-hour vertical challenge option.
Job, guys.
It was an opportunity to really pummel their quads, individuals on Mohawk Mountain.
Nice work.
A good amount of gain, really up and down the mountain. So in the 8-hour, the top finisher was William Sanders with 27 laps or 31 miles.
For him.
I don't know the metrics on that in terms of overall gain for those
Nice work.
per lap. I'll have to track that back down, but it was probably, I'd be curious to see what that gain was over 31 miles. So maybe Steep Endurance can weigh in on a comment thread if there is one. And Stephanie Sabile
enjoying the
with
view.
17 laps and 20 miles on the top of the card for the females. In the 10K, which had something like 2,500 feet of gain, the win went to Benjamin Herron in 56 minutes 59 seconds, and Sherry Odell in the women's spot for an hour 10. In the 5K, Kenneth Berardi, top time of 32:31, and Morgan Windrum in 35:16. Green Monster Trail Challenge, a beautiful and burly 15K, 25K, 50K. They showed some photos on their Facebook page ahead of the race after I think a good bit of the course was blown of leaves, and it really just looked spectacular. Perfect time of year to be out there on the trails, and so it looked like a beautiful weekend and day. It was put on by the Cougar Running Club. The 15K, Tim Ribovic took the overall win in hour 25 with Kim Harris on the women's front in just not too far back in hour 35. In the 25K, 64 finishers with Dave Endress edging Adam Russell by a mere 3 seconds. Boy, Grandpa Adam, I'd say you're just getting old, buddy. But Dave has you by 5 years, so that doesn't quite work in rationale. Nice work, fellas. It'd be cool to see that finish line clip. And the top women's mark went to Caitlin Jones in 2:55. In the 50K, Eric Kozek, again up at the top of the ticket there for the overall win in 5:06, with Becky Kozek rounding out for the house in 6:17. I'm going to give the toughness award for that household there to Becky on this one. Only a week or two out now from the World's End. A pretty spectacular and tough run out there. So great job coming back with another tough course and win, Becky. Nice work. And I was able to reach out to a couple individuals. One is Adam Russell, the one I just mentioned, who finished second by just 3 seconds. I'm going to let him weigh in on Green Monster. Adam, take it.
Hello, Adam Russell here. Just want to talk to you a little bit about the Green Monster Trail Challenge. It just happened this weekend. This is a race that brings a lot of memories back to me, as it's the first trail running race that I've ever done, and brings back a lot of memories. It really is what the race that got me into being a trail running junkie. Back then, 2012, Travis Toohey's the one that started the race as race director. Back then it was just a 25K. Had a couple friends, Gary Ferguson and John Johnson, that really pressured me into signing up for this. I didn't really know at all what I was getting myself into, as was just a new runner, had done some local 5Ks, but nothing really any bigger than that. I can remember driving in, seeing the giant mountains, thinking, oh my, this is going to be a really fun, painful day. And it surely was. I'd gotten advice on that first mountain not to go out too hard. I ran up the first mountain. I thought, oh, that wasn't quite as bad as I thought. Little did I know that was only halfway up the first mountain, as it had leveled off, and I thought that was the top, and there was still more to go. Remember getting to the next climb, seeing my good friend John Johnson there hiking up it. I'm like, John, what's going on? Why are you hiking? He's like, what? You're supposed to hike up these steep parts like this. I'm like, seriously, I wish somebody would have told me that sooner. Like I said, I really didn't know what I was getting myself into. I didn't realize you're supposed to eat and drink while you're running these longer races, and I went into this one aid station, half delirious, stopped, about passed out. Amy Johnson was there, thankfully, and she's like, Adam, you need to eat! Get some food! So she's like, I'm just here almost falling on the ground. She's like shoving food in my face. Now she's like, get moving! Later I found out she told John, she's like, if you see him laying in a ditch somewhere, he might need a little help. But I was able to finish it, did quite well, a lot better than I had expected. The whole family was there. We got to have a really nice feast afterwards, and just really got to reminisce with all the trail runners, tell all our stories and different things, and had a really fun time. The following year, Travis added some more trails, put in a 50K. I did that, ran really well there. Then did the 50K again the next year, ran really well there. Jim Black took over for race directing there sometime in that area, and they added a 15K. I've never done that race, but I'm sure that one is fun also. The 50K, I always think that second, it's like two 25K loops. I always think that second 25K loop is the harder one. I think it's a little funner though. Those last two mountains on that always kill me every year. I've only done the 50K twice though. 25K, I've tried it again. Last year I ran it with one of my cross country junior high kids, Norman Strauss, and me and John Johnson ran with him. Had a really fun time. This year, tried going again. I'm just really getting back into trail running again after bulging a disc in my back. So I've kind of been out for a couple of years, but getting back into it. Didn't really know what I was going to be, how I was going to do this year. Just really shout out to Ryan Knapp, my chiropractor, who really talked me out of going to the doctor and getting surgery, but to stick with it. I stayed with him for quite a while, and he really got my back a lot better. It's doing much better now for the last month or two. I've really been feeling good. And went into this race not knowing what was going to happen, but I was just going to give it everything I had. Start of the race was pretty cool, as there was this one guy there with a big old husky dog tethered to him. The race got started, and the dog was excited and so happy. It was just you could see the old dirt churning as he was pawing the ground, pulling his runner friend there. He was running beside him there. It was all I could do to refrain myself from yelling, "Mush, mush!" So it was fun. Got started off, got into the trail part. I was in the lead there in the beginning. Actually, I was in the lead almost the whole race till the last 20 yards. Got to run with Dave Endress. He pushed me hard. He stayed right on my tail the whole time. There was the second climb. I got a little bit ahead of him. I was thinking I just need to run like a scared rabbit and stay in the lead, but he caught me again and got to talking, had a good time, really good time, and got to the last road section, half mile to go, running as hard as I could, and he outkicked me and finished in the lead. I was just happy for him. It was a good race. Really glad that we got to run together and push each other. I know he pushed me. But that's a great first time race or trail run. If you've never done trail racing, it's a great race to get into, great race to do. A lot of beautiful mountains, great scenery. It's always in the fall. The leaves are changing color. Really fun race. Thank you all. Talk to you later.
And then also on that card, finishing third, just a bit back from Adam there, was Bob Bauer. Also coming, Bob doubling back from also a really good run last week at the Black Forest 100K. So coming back 2 weekends in a row there with those two courses, really burly back to back. So I checked in with Bob, and he was able to weigh back in here. So Bob, take it.
Hey Trail Collective, Bob Bauer here with Cook Forest Trail Racing. Hey, Ian reached out, asked if I give a quick rundown of the last 2 weeks and what that looked like with the Black Forest being my first 100K, and then following it up with a run at the Green Monster up in Wellsboro. The 100K was my A race this year, and all the training and other events led right up to it. With COVID into 2020, it really opened up an opportunity to get some good training in without just breaking yourself racing throughout the summer. So that's what we tried to do. Shannon Ray and I came off of a couple good 50Ks over the last couple of years and picked, I guess it was my pick for the Black Forest, and she opted to say okay. We got through that, and the nighttime run was fantastic. The weather conditions were incredible. The trail was fast, and gave a lot of opportunity to get through it safely. Dry, best way to describe it. We got through it a little quicker than anticipated, looking at the pace charts that we forgot to pack with us, and managed to rip into the finish sub 17 for both of us. So that went really well at Black Forest. If you're looking for one to cut your teeth on, I don't know if there's any PA that'll push you harder than that, but it's very, very good. Dave and Ben put on a great show out there. Came off of that, body felt pretty decent, obviously a little sore, feet were a little sore, and then with the Green Monster, signed up 25K for a recovery run. Sarah Tanis, real close friend, thought it was a bad idea, and said, if I'm going to go out, just take my time, stretch my legs, and enjoy it. Just need to recover going into the fall. So that's what we did. We just chilled, ran with a bunch of friends off the start, caught up with Craig Fleming, and him and I just talked about RD stuff, events, and got partway up the deer trail, and Craig said, "We'll see you at the end," and I got up to the top, cut across the top, started down the first descent, and just threw the wings open, and thought, let's give this a shot, and it stuck. So we just let the legs go, let them do what they wanted to do, and started to catch people. Caught up to a buddy of mine, Tyler, halfway through. Him and I ran for a piece, and then just worked the technical downhills. The trails were real dry again, so you could there was speed there, and the legs responded. And caught up to Norman, 14-year-old kid, just a class act, third place. Him and I battled back and forth, and got up over the last climb, and he was out of sight. Past Dawn Williamson, a real close friend of mine. She was on the 50K course, just getting ready to make the right hand for the second half. Wished her luck. And Ben Mazur was down there taking pictures and videos of people coming down Frankenstein's forehead. I saw Norman through the switchbacks headed out for the finish, and I got down along the creek bottom and just strided and managed to get through the creeks. And he actually just slid to the side and wished me luck. And we let my arms carry me all the way to the finish. A good friend of mine, Tanya, was there to finish, and she held me up for the last, for the 30 seconds after I got through the finish line, and I appreciate that. Denny and Travis put on a great show up there. It was a good redemption for me. Managed to pull off a lower bail podium for that day. Didn't expect it. It's supposed to be a recovery run, and if anybody has the opportunity, Green Monster, you got a 15K, 25K, and 50K. Pick the distance you want, and you'll enjoy it. So that's a quick spin on the last 2 weeks. I think I'm gonna just relax, call the wild. This is gonna be a visit, no running there. Slate Run and the View, which is the modified Heiner, is on the list. Again, gonna just try and use those for training runs. Looking towards the Idiot, the Frigid Idiot in January, to Cossacks. Finally gonna be able to make that, and might try and bite into a 100-miler in the spring, one that I'm coming up on my own. So thanks again, appreciate it, Ian. Thanks for reaching out. Shannon Ray, you got to pick the ultra for next year, so get some research. Let's figure out what we're going to do. Thanks, everybody. Have a great night.
And the Tussey Mountain Back 50-mile relay went down in Boalsburg, PA. While results weren't yet posted as of the filming, what was a clip from Penn Live on the indomitable George Ertzweiler. George, for those of you who don't already know, as part of the relay called Old Men on the Mountains, he took up a 3.8-mile leg, which he finished in 72 minutes. 72 minutes, you say? For a 3.8-mile leg? That's a lot of minutes. But considering the incredible George is 100 years old, if I'm still alive at age 100, I'm pretty sure that I'm not going to remember to put on my pants in the morning. But if I do happen to remember, and I actually am able to put on my pants in the morning, it's probably going to take 73 minutes. So considering, George, that you were able to get on your pants in time, or your running shorts, and finish 3.8 miles in 72 minutes, I'm not going to be able to touch that. So nice work. Looked like it was a nice weekend out there, and we'll plug the link for the results once they're live. Sugarloaf uphill climb gains 2,500 feet over 2.5 miles up Sugarloaf Mountain in Maine. Looks like they had a really solid day with 166 entrants. Scanning the divisions, it appears that Zane Fields of White River Junction took the win in 26:04, with Kim Webster of Framingham with the fastest women's time on the day, just behind. Actually, I might have got the times blended there. Might have been Kim in 26 and Zane in 21 or something to that effect. But you can check out the results. We'll have the link plugged. The Big Brad Ultras went down, the 50K and 50-mile options over a pretty nice trail in the Bradbury Mountain State Park and trails around Pownell, Maine. In the 50K, Let's see, August Posh of Portland was on top in 4:53, with the top female slot going to Gina Bossert of Manchester in 7:11. In the 50-mile, Chance Simonton from Lebanon, New Hampshire took the win in 8:30, and Jennifer Britz less than a minute behind for second place overall, the top female, and she was, if I remember right, the second fastest female on that course in the 50-mile historically. So great job to all out there. And the Sunshine Camp Trail Mix 5K in Rush, New York went down. It was an effort to raise support and funds for kids with disabilities attending the fully accessible Rotary Sunshine Camp. Looks like they had a good turnout. Darren Shute took the overall win in 19:12, and Yvonne Raccanello for the women in 24:29. So nice work to all out there supporting a great cause. So upcoming events, Friday, October 16th. Again, as I mentioned last week, thanks to Pat Hine for the heads up. The Wild Oak Trail 100 Fat Ass will be going down. It's a 30-plus-year-old 112.8-mile four-loop course with each loop gaining around 7,000 feet. It's pretty burly. It uses the Wild Oak Trail. No formal entry, aid station volunteers, etc. Don't ask questions, because if you do, you ain't invited. So show up, toughen up, get it done. That's part of the Virginia Happy Trails crew, so look for information there. Pretzel City Sports is putting on the Palmerton Glow Burn Nighttime Trail at Blue Mountain this Friday as well. You can choose between 5K, 10K, or 15Ks with a start time of 6 p.m. Pre-registration is only open through today, Wednesday the 14th, so get on it if you're interested. I'm not sure if they have race day registration. They might. Saturday, October 17th, Virginia Happy Trails members only Pumpkin Spice 50K. I think I just noted that they still have some entries left, but you got to be a Virginia Happy Trails member. So get your membership on if you want some pumpkin spice this year. Otherwise, check it out for next year. Little Pines 5-miler, low-key family and youth-friendly event running ahead of the Call of the Wilds Trail Festival will be this Saturday. You can find more information at the patraildogs.com site. I'm hoping to be out there with at least one of my daughters and maybe some of her friends. Actually, two of my daughters, I think, are signed up. So hopefully we'll make it down there and we'll catch some of you out there. The Cinnamahone Trail Runs and Ultra, offering 12K, 25K, and 50K options in Emporium, PA. Pretty fair and fun-looking courses. And it's part of a series, Triple Crown series. I think it started in the spring with a paddle event. In July, if that part happened, with a gravel ride, and then this part, the trail runs in the fall. So pretty cool series to check out and partake in, if not already, for 2021. Check it out, Cinnamahone Trail Runs. This Sunday, October 18th, or this Sunday at this point, is part of the Little Pines and Call of the Wilds Trail Mountain Festival. 25K, 50K, run over beautiful and rugged courses in Waterville, PA. I think the 25K has 5,000 feet of elevation gain. 50K, I think 7,000 feet, so really burly courses. I'm hoping to go down and cover that, though at the moment I'm feeling pretty exhausted and beat up in life. I don't know, maybe needing more sleep, who knows what's going on. But maybe I'll run it, maybe I won't, but it'll be cool to potentially check it out. So if I miss y'all down there, have a great time at Call of the Wilds. And that is one that does fill up or reach cap. So if you didn't make it in this year, stay tuned for next year. And then 2 weekends from now, Saturday, October 24th, Live Loud Running's Pachog Trail Runs. Half marathon, marathon, and 50K options run in the Pachog State Forest in Voluntown, Connecticut. Check it out. And that's another one, again, from the Live Loud Running's crew. Taking us out this week, we're going to close with a clip from Ashley Carr, who we had a clip from last week. For those of you who maybe didn't catch it, Ashley set off this past Wednesday to undertake the out and back running of the AT through Shenandoah National Park, a section covering 214 miles with roughly 45,000 feet of elevation gain.
So I try really hard not to think too far in advance. I try to take it like 5 or 10 miles at a time. However, how often do you get to say only 199 miles to go? All right.
and she was hoping to raise awareness and funds for the organization Girls on the Game, which we also plugged last week with a clip. And their mission statement of helping to empower girls to discover their strength, find their voice, and become strong, confident women. Being the father of 3 daughters, and even if I didn't, a totally worthy mission and cause. So check it out. You can still make donations to the cause. We'll have the link plugged, and we had it plugged last week if you still want to support that. But a pretty outstanding mission. She nailed it. She finished it in 3 days, 16 hours, 44 minutes. Just an amazing effort. So an incredible endurance undertaking and effort. And we're going to take you out with a clip from Ashley. Congratulations, Ashley. It's really incredible. So hopefully you feel great at the moment. And thanks for doing what you did. And so thanks for tuning in this week. I'll maybe catch some of you at Little Pines or Call of the Wild this weekend. And until then, thanks for tuning in. Thanks for sharing. Ashley, take us out.
Hi everyone, it's Ashley Carr reporting back after my very long week running the Appalachian Trail through Shenandoah National Park out and back. So again, that was 214 miles with about 46,000 feet of climbing. I had amazing weather for almost the entire, I had amazing weather for the entire run. The first day it was about 80 degrees and it was warm each day and dipped pretty cold into the high 30s at night. Perfect running weather. I ran the first day by myself, having my husband Brian Carr crew me, and then the second day I started to have pacers, which was something that's really new for me. Normally I don't have a big crew and I normally go without pacers, so this experience was a much outer experience and very much based on a team effort as opposed to most of the other runs that I have done that are much more inward experience. So it was really, really unique to have that kind of support.
Okay. Hi. Hi. We are at High Top. Yep. And there's the, well, you can't really see it, but it looks good to us. There's a pretty view. I'm really pretty. 150 miles in. Woo! With almost 60 miles. This is Zoe, my wonderful pacer. We're heading down to eat some burgers that hopefully Brian will have ready for me when I get down there. I'm feeling good, and
look at her eyes, no bags. Oh, she looks awesome. She's killing it.
All right, y'all. Good night.
Good night.
These are
and I really think that I had a lot of incredibly dark, low moments like I was expecting. I think the second night I struggled really hard. I was tired, cold, grouchy, irritable as I approached the halfway point at 107 miles. It was really strange to get to 107 and then realize that, hey, I have to turn around and go right back where I came from. But once the sun came up after I made the turnaround, I started to feel really good again and cruised right on until having some other issues with moving in the last 30 miles.
okay. I am in the pain cave at 194 miles in. My feet feel like they're bleeding on the bottom, even though they aren't. I feel like I've been doing 4 days of hill repeats up and down Signal Knob. But I'm still moving along. Got Brian with me. Whoa, almost fell off the trail. I'm seeing lots of funny faces and action figures in the leaves. Like a banana man ghost. And funny people. And action figures. Okay, enough of that. Alright. Well, keep on going. Sheila's gonna meet me at Gravel Springs and help scoop my butt to the end because I'm ready to be done. I haven't slept more than an hour or so in the past 80.5 hours. So hopefully I can finish around midnight tonight or 1 o'clock. All right.
So that was another chunk of dark moments that I had in those last 30. I ended up only sleeping for about a total of maybe a half hour. I tried to sleep, but when you're experiencing something like that, your adrenaline's pumping, you're ready to go, you can't really lay down anyways because your body's so sore, so I just kept pushing and pushing and pushing. I'm really excited because at this point I'm only about $100 shy of raising $4,000 for Girls in the Game. So if you want to help me get there, please check out my link and throw a couple dollars in. It's such an amazing cause, and you know what I did this week is absolute proof that girls can do some seriously difficult stuff if we are able to make the decision that yes, we can. As I was, I think maybe around mile 50 or 60, I was making a climb up to this area in the Shenandoah called Mary's Rock. And the sun was about to go down, and it was only maybe 20 minutes from dark, and I'm climbing up, and this guy's coming down, and he says, are you gonna come down in the dark? And I remember thinking, well, yeah, I am. And he seemed so puzzled, and that moment reflects so many moments that I have out in the mountains as a female by myself, and that's often men making comments about what I'm doing and maybe suggesting that it's kind of odd or dangerous. And you know, I had a headlamp, and I am an experienced trail runner, and I know exactly what I'm doing, and it just really goes to show that women are living in this world where others expect or kind of place on us this idea that we can't go out and do these super difficult, kind of scary things and go on these adventures and make these kinds of accomplishments happen. But you know, again, I'm proof that that is absolutely wrong, and with confidence and with experience and with believing in yourself and just with the drive to push and push and push no matter what, you can make it happen. So thank you guys for letting me be a part of this, and see you all on the trails.